Hello there. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Welcome to my channel. My name is Su, and today I'm going to talk about the 10 most memorable flight experiences I've had for all the years that I've been traveling. Okay? Now, I love traveling. I've been traveling for several years to places that I'm probably not supposed to go to all over the world. All right? Now, if I had the finances, or if I was a millionaire, I would travel every week to a different country. But I'm not there yet, so bear with me. All right? Now, some of the experiences that I've had throughout the years of traveling, some have been good, some have been bad, some have been funny, some have been weird. Okay, some have been what? All kinds of experiences. All right? So, let's get to them. All right? Okay. Now, before I start, if you're a traveler and you're going to places that you've never been before, or to countries that you've never been to before, you will deal with people and airlines that you've never dealt with before. All right? Some are good, some are bad. It all depends on yourself too in some situations. Okay? So let's get started. All right? Now number 10 is the annoying seatmate. All right? If you ever have a flight and the person sitting next to you is annoying, it could be very frustrating. All right? Now, the experience I ever had, or how should I say it? The worst experience I ever had with an annoying passenger sitting next to me was my first ever flight from New York JFK to Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Okay? It was my first experience in Airbus A380. Now, I was sitting on the window seat in economy, and there's a gentleman sitting next to me in the middle seat, and a young lady on the aisle seat. Okay, now, everything was fine when we took off from New York. About hour and a half, 2 hours into the flight, we they served us our first meal. We ate. After that, just when I was about to like settle myself in and get a little bit of sleep, this guy took out some book. I guess it's a funny book or whatever. And anytime I try to shut my eyes, this guy will laugh out loud. Like he will go crazy. he would just laugh out loud, like there's nobody around him. So the young lady sitting in the aisle seat would look at him, and then she'll look at me like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? So this kept on and on and on and on. So I put on my headphones and went to sleep. Slept for some hours. Woke up. This guy is still reading the book and still laughing. So finally he gets up to go to the bathroom, I guess, and he leaves the book on the table. So the young lady sitting next to him on the aisle look at me, and I looked at her, and she was like, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm gonna do something. And I was like, go ahead, man. So the young lady she took the book and tore out like the last 3 or 4 pages. She tore it, ripped it in pieces, and put it in her bag. So now this fact, I'm not supposed to say that. This guy comes back, sitting in the middle seat, and he's reading the story and still laughing. And the girl, once in a while, the girl will peek over him to look at me, and we'll both laugh, because we know that he's not gonna get to know the ending of whatever he was reading. Okay, he may probably have to buy another book to get the ending. So just for being a prickhead, that's what he got, and that was a funny experience. All right, let's move on to number 9. Now number 9 is I'll call it garlic breath. Okay, now I had a flight from Manila to Hong Kong on Cathay Pacific. It's coming back from Manila on one of my several flights to Manila, and I was so unlucky on that flight, man. I didn't get the seats that I wanted. I was put in the middle row and middle seat. Okay, in the Airbus A350, beautiful plane, but I was put in one of the worst places you could sit. Now, what makes it worse is sitting on my right is this old Chinese lady, and I could have sworn she probably just ate raw garlic. Okay, and sitting on my left is another Asian man. I think he is Filipino. So now I'm stuck in between them. If I turn my head to the right, all I smell is pure disgusting garlic. And if I turn if I turn my head to the left, all I could hear is this guy snoring like. Now it was disgusting. Okay, thank God it was just a 2-hour flight. Okay, so now I got up because it was just a 2-hour flight. So I got up and I went to the back of the plane, like at the galley, and I was standing there. And one of the flight attendants came and she was like, "Sir, you've been standing here for a while. Is everything okay?" And I was like, so I explained everything to her. She was like, "Oh my God, I wish I can help you, but this flight is full. There's no other place I could put you to sit. So if you want to stand here, it's fine. But when we're about to land, you're going to have to go back to the seat." And I was like, "Yes, I know that." So for like more than an hour and a half, I was standing up instead of sitting down on that flight because I didn't want to smell the garlic breath and hear the loud snoring. But overall, everything turned out okay. I went to sit back down for the landing. We got to Hong Kong and everything was all right. Okay, let's go to number 8. Number 8 is turbulence to Miami. All right, this is some years back, long time ago. Now I was on a flight with the person that I was with at that time. We was going to Miami, and on U.S. Airways, yes, from New York JFK to Miami. And in the middle of the flight, we encountered severe turbulence. I'm talking about crazy, scary turbulence. So my significant other, I'm kind of ashamed to say this, she pretty much wetted herself. Okay, so now after the turbulence calmed and everything was cool, she told me what has happened. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do now? So I told one of the flight attendants, and she was like, okay, don't worry, I'm gonna help her. So she asked me, is she carrying any set of extra clothes? And I'm like, yeah, in up there. So she was like, okay, go get them for me. So I went up there, opened the thing, and got her suitcase, her carry-on, and gave it to the flight attendant. She was like, okay, give me 1 second. She went to the back. She came back, and she had like one of those like an apron. So she put the apron on her because she was, I'm not gonna say too much about it. She was soaked. So she put the apron on her and walk with her to the bathroom and help her change clothes and everything. She was a very sweet lady. Okay, so that was how would I say, a weird experience. All right, now number 7. Let's move on to number 7. Number 7 was, I think, probably the very first time I flew from New York to Ghana we took British Airways. I was flying with my mother at that time. I was still kind of young. I mean, I wasn't really that young, but I wasn't traveling by myself in those days. So we boarded British Airways. It's a 747 from JFK. We were supposed to fly. I think it was like supposed to be like 6.5 hours to London, but like 2 hours into the flight, the pilot make an announcement that a passenger is severely ill. Basically, I think somebody had a heart attack or something, so they had to divert the flight into Newfoundland. And at that time, I was like, Newfoundland? What the hell? Where's Newfoundland? So, if you don't know where Newfoundland is like the furthermost northeast of Canada. Okay, so they diverted the flight and landed in Newfoundland, some icy place. And let me tell you something. I've never seen so much snow and ice in one place before. And my mom was like, wow, so people actually live here? And I was like, I guess so. There's an airport here. All you see is just white. Nothing but ice and snow. That was one experience that I had. A sick passenger on British Airways. Okay, let's move on to number 6. Now, number 6 is this was just earlier this year. Earlier this year, I took my girlfriend to Singapore. Now, the second leg of the flight was on Malaysian Airlines from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Singapore. It was just supposed to be a 1-hour flight. Okay, now, for some reason, the flight was delayed while we was in the air. It was supposed to be like just 1-hour flight, but it turned out to be almost 2 hours. We were circling around Singapore because I guess there were too many planes on the ground or whatever it was. Now, finally, when we were about to land, we saw the most beautiful scenery I've probably ever seen. Okay, you could see like hundreds and hundreds of ships on the water. Okay, just lined up, perfectly lined up, like almost like military precision, just lined up heading towards Singapore. And it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I actually have a video of that on my channel. All right, it was spectacular. Okay, it was amazing. Singapore, when we landed, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, the airport. Okay, let's move on to number 5. Number 5 is called the turnaround. The turnaround. One time, this is probably the first time I've ever been just a little bit scared, because I'm not that scared. All right, just a little bit scared about flying. I was on a Delta flight, direct flight from New York, going to Accra, Ghana. Now, Delta gets you from JFK to Accra in sometimes 10.5 to 11 hours. Okay, I've taken them several times. But this time, we took her from JFK, and like 2 hours into the flight, we were already over the Atlantic. The captain comes on the intercom and explains that one of the two engines, Delta flies 767, Boeing 767 to Accra, Ghana. One of the engines is having a slight problem. That's what they said, a slight problem. So they are not going to take any chances to continue the journey. So they're going to turn around and come back to JFK. Now, let me tell you something. That was the first time I ever heard people pray. I mean, it wasn't that serious, but there were people praying, and some ladies like, oh my God, oh my. People were nervous. I mean, I was nervous too, but it wasn't that serious. But some people were actually like crying, like, come on. But anyway, the conclusion to that is we landed back at JFK safely, waited like 2 hours. They put us back on another 767, and we made it across the Atlantic safely. Nothing happened. No incident after that. Okay. Number 4 is nonsense in Brussels. That's what I'll call it. Now, last year, 2019, February, I went to Ghana for the year of return, and the thing is, usually I would have never fly Brussels Airlines, but my mom was here in New York, and her return flight was on Brussels. So I booked a ticket on the same flight so I could go with her. So now everything was okay. We checked in at JFK, everything was okay. We got on a fly across the Atlantic to Brussels. Now, when we were about to board the second leg of the journey at Brussels, this idiot, one of those idiots that work for Brussels Airlines, as far as I'm concerned, that whole airline is a piece of ish. Okay? They pull me to the side and tell me, oh, we're not gonna let you go to Ghana because you don't have a visa to go to Ghana. So I'm being nice and polite, and I'm trying my best to explain to them that, listen, I go to Ghana all the time. I've traveled to Ghana several times. So I always get a visa. But this year, 2019, is the year of return. If you hold an American passport as a black person, you don't need a visa to visit Ghana the year 2019. They was like, no, this and that. So I said, you know what? Why don't you people do a research, do something? And this guy was like, being in the rudest way, I'm not gonna do anything, and you are not going anywhere. You are not boarding that flight, and basically, we're gonna send you back to New York. That's when I cracked up, and I'm like, you're gonna send me back to New York? Go ahead. I'll be more than glad to go back to. Put me on the next thing smoking to New York. I'll go to New York, but let me tell you something. I took out my phone. I started recording everything. I said, let me tell you something. As soon as I get to New York, I will hire the best Jewish lawyer my money can afford, and I'm gonna sue this freaking company because you people are so stupid. I'm telling you that I don't need a visa to enter Ghana in 2019. So finally, one of the ladies, they went to the back, and I guess they did some kind of research or whatever, and then she came back, said something to the idiot in French. So now he comes up to me like, okay, I'm gonna do you a favor. Usually I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm gonna let you go to Ghana, okay? And I was like, no, you idiot. You're not doing me no damn favor. I'm entitled to go to Ghana. You just wasted my time. I was the last person to board that flight. Okay, I was the last person to board the plane. They wasted my time, and there were Ghanaians and people going to Togo. Everybody looking at me like I'm some criminal that's being detained or something. I was pissed. So let me tell you something. If you're a black person, especially African, you're living in America or Europe, please don't fly with Brussels Airlines, okay? They treat Africans like ish. I've said that before on one of my other videos. Brussels Airlines is a piece of ish airline. And I wish they get this message and let them try to do something. Let's move on from those idiots. Now, number three was the first time I was flying to, everything from 3 to number 1 is all positive, okay? The first time I was flying from New York to Tokyo, Japan, okay? ANA Airlines, All Nippon Airlines. Now, the Japanese, I love the Japanese when it comes to service. Okay, clean planes. I mean, beautiful people, the most respectful people. Now, from New York to Tokyo is 14 hours non-stop. So the first meal they served, right? It was some Japanese style, like some kind of noodles. I mean, their food is awesome, okay. But what I didn't know was like the noodles. I mean, it's cooked. It's like pasta. It's cooked, but it was cold. So I was like, and the flight was pretty. It was barely full. So I had a whole 3-row seat to myself. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? This spaghetti is kind of cold. So I was like, okay, what do I? So I started eating it cold. Hey, I'm not Japanese, okay? I started eating the cold spaghetti, and this flight attendant that was walking by, she saw me, and she came back. She came to me, and she was so polite. She was like, "Excuse me, sir. I see that you were eating the noodles without the sauce. You are supposed to use this sauce here to put it on it. You're not supposed to eat it cold, okay?" And I was like, "Oh, thank you." So she helped me. She opened the sauce. She put it on the noodles. And when I started eating it, oh, it was the bomb. Yo, big ups to ANA of Japan. Yeah, they have probably one of the best. No, it is the best service to Asia. I love them. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Now, number 2 is the longest flight I've ever been on. I was going to once again to Manila, Philippines. Now, if you're wondering why I go to the Philippines so much, my girlfriend is living there and she works there. So because of her, for like the past God knows how many years, I go to the Philippines, sometimes even twice a year. Okay, so now I was on a flight from JFK to Hong Kong. Okay, now New York to Hong Kong, listen to this, is 16 hours and 15 minutes on a 777 Cathay Pacific. 16 hours and 15 minutes. Now, the flight is lovely, everything is good, but I had been sitting on my butt for so long. I was tired of sitting. My back was killing me. So I couldn't take it anymore. So I got out from my seat, and I walked to the back of the plane, and I was standing there. I was just standing there. So this flight attendant, this beautiful young lady, comes up to me and says, "Sir, are you waiting to use the bathroom? Because they're all vacant." And most of the people were sleeping at that time. They're all vacant if you're waiting to use the bathroom. And I said, "Oh, no, young lady. I'm just tired of sitting. I just want to stand here for a while and, let my blood circulate or whatever." And she was like, "Oh, okay, I understand." And she was like, "Would you like to sit over here with me?" I was like, "What?" Now, I didn't even know they had like these seats that the flight attendants could sit there. And I guess her job at that time was to just stay in the back because it's a long flight, and she will clean the bathrooms like every, I don't know, maybe every 30 minutes or whatever. They are so clean, Cathay Pacific. So she started having conversations with me, and we talk and talk. She was telling me her life story, the places she's been to. She asked me where I'm going, what I'm going to do in the Philippines. We had a long, like for like 2 hours, we were just talking. And she asked me, would you like something to eat? Would you like something to drink? Man, that experience was awesome. I wish I could meet that young lady again. She was beautiful. Okay? So I remember when I returned back to my seatmate was like, this lady asked me, "Were you in the bathroom for that long?" And I was like, no. So I explained to her what happened. And she was like, "Oh, then let me do that too." So she got up and went to the back, to stretch her legs too. Okay, now let's move on to number 1. Now, number 1, what would I call it? I'll call it patience equals rewards. Okay? Now, this is probably the nicest thing that ever happened to me with all the flights that I've been on. First, this is what happened. I was coming back from Manila again. This time I was flying Asiana Airlines of Korea. So from Manila to Seoul Incheon, no incident. Beautiful flight, night flight. We get to Seoul Incheon. We wait to I was there for like 4 hours for my connection flight, and then we boarded A380, Asiana A380. During the boarding, I was like, you know what? There's no need to rush. We're all taking off at the same time. I always do that. So I waited till like I was one of the last few people to board the plane, right? So now I got to where I'm supposed to sit, and there's this Korean man, this old Korean man sitting there. So now the plane is full, and I'm starting to like, okay, what do I do? So I said, excuse me, sir, I think you are in my seat. That's my seat. So before I could even show my ticket to the man, this man burst out and said something to me in Korean. And I was like, oh shit. So now the people that were around, they all went like, oh. Some of them were like, oh my God. So right there, I noticed he said something awful. Hey, look, I don't know one word in Korean, but I know when somebody call you a fucking nigger or something like that, okay? So this flight attendant saw what was happening. So she came over there and she was like, what happened? She asked me what happened. And I said, listen, I don't know what he said to me, but I know he said something bad, okay? All I'm trying to tell him is that he's sitting on my seat. So she said, okay, you know what, sir? Please be patient. Just wait here. Give me a second, right? So she went all the way to the front. She came back with another flight attendant. I think she's like one of the supervisors. So she said something in Korean to the gentleman, and the gentleman, I guess, said something back to, something rude back to her in Korean, right? And so she's standing there like, really? She said, you know what? She turned around and said to me, sir, you know what? I have available seat in business class. Would you like to sit in business class? I said, yeah. I said, sure. So now the people that were around, they started clapping. Right now, this asshole, the old man, he gets up. Now all of a sudden, he know how to speak English now. He gets up. Oh, I'm senior. Put me in business class. Put me in business class. So the young lady look at her and it's like, I guess she didn't want to be rude to him because, Asians, they are no rude people. She looked at him and she said, sit down. You say you want to sit there, so sit. And then she said, sir, follow me. So now I'm following her. I'm all happy. And the people, some of the people around there were like, yeah, you got yourself business class for being patient. So I followed them. We went to business class. They gave me a seat. I mean, I didn't get a window seat, but I wasn't tripping. I got a nice middle seat in business class. Man, I was treated like gold, bro. I mean, I got business class service. I ate caviar, drank some champagne, ate nice, beautiful food, got to stretch my legs and sleep on the flat bed. I mean, and that flight was 14 hours. 14 hours from Seoul Incheon to New York JFK. And just for being patient and for not being an a-hole, I got a free upgrade from economy to business class. So next time you encounter some idiot, please be patient. At the end, you'll get the benefit. Okay? Okay. Let me end this here. My name is Yao Fosu. Please like my video, subscribe, share it, let it go over. Alright? I love traveling. I hope you do too. And let's get over this COVID nonsense and get back into life again. Good luck. Cheers.